At this point, I'm almost convinced that Rachel Zegler might be a secret hero. Maybe she knows that the new Snow White movie is incomprehensibly bad and she's just trying to dissuade as many people as possible from seeing it. Or she just has a warped sense of reality and morality from hanging around other rich Hollywood women at wine nights and has deluded herself into thinking that her stands are virtuous rather than patronizing, alienating, vitriolic, and downright wrong. But come on, you think a celebrity would ever act like that? Yes, Rachel Zegler is back. Now, me personally, if everyone kinda hated me, I would count it as a great gift if they all moved on and forgot about me. I would opt to slip away and let those people concern themselves with other things and let other people draw their ire. I certainly wouldn't remind everyone that they can't stand me. But Rachel Zegler isn't a normal person like you and me. She's special. She exists in her own echo chamber. She doesn't realize that people don't like her and what she's saying by their responses because she lives in a whole other world from us. You see, if you or I said something insane, the normal people in our lives would let us know, either directly or by dint of their reaction. But Rachel needs to be told that people don't like what she's saying by executives at Disney who can see the movie in which they unwisely chose to cast her's future being solidified as a once in a generation failure. Yes, while most people across America were overall less perturbed by the results of the presidential election this time around than in either 2016 or 2020, Rachel decided to add her wailing to the still present cacophony of mentally unstable, chronically online crowd that believes the president is single-handedly either going to enslave them or make them king or queen of the world. I'm going to break down her original Instagram story like I do movie scenes and articles written by stupid people, because not only is what Rachel said asinine and deserving of her removal from Disney, it's hilarious as it showcases her chronic lack of self-awareness. And we'll discuss her half-baked apology. I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us toward a world that I do not want to live in. So, of course, this is in response to the 2024 presidential election results. If you're one of my viewers from across the pond, well, I was going to say you might have missed it, but let's be real, even you probably got weird texts from the Kamala Harris campaign saying they're begging on their hands and knees for donations. And in case you did miss how that election ended up, Donald Trump received half the votes. Technically, over half the country chose to elect the reality TV show host for a second time. And those are the people Zegler is addressing, implying they chose to subject her to 4 years of hatred, leaning us toward a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. Ah, yes, with you getting paid $2 million to play Snow White, I can't imagine how hard it will be for you to raise your daughter. Forget the people struggling to keep up with the price of groceries increasing by 26% since 2020, and the price of baby formula increasing by well over 200% since 2019. You're the one whose struggle we need to hear about, Rachel. Leaning us toward a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want. I will never understand people who advocate for abortion on behalf of their daughters, especially fathers. When a parent says, I want my daughter to have access to abortion, what I hear is, I want my daughter to be able to get raw dogged by as many men who aren't willing to make a long-term commitment to her as she wants without consequence. And before you defend Rachel here by suggesting, well, maybe she's talking about those rare exceptions that most people agree on, like if her daughter's life is in danger. That's not even remotely what she said here. She just said she wants her daughter to be able to abort a baby she doesn't want. Because in Rachel's world, you get whatever you want and nothing you don't. That's how life should work. Leaning us toward a world that is fearful. The world is not fearful, Rachel. You are. I remember January 2017 through January 2021. I remember a bunch of stupid things being said, but I also remember a distinct lack of current event podcasts talking about wars, because there weren't any. The only fear I see right now is people like you screaming that the sky is falling. I shouldn't be this shocked, but I am. I'm heartbroken for my friends who awoke fear this morning. Pretty sure she meant to say awoke in fear, but more to the point, of course you're shocked, Rachel. You have no idea who the people who live in the red regions of this map are. You grew up a theater kid in New Jersey right outside Manhattan, then moved into Broadway and Hollywood while still in high school. You've probably never even spoken to somebody from that dreaded middle region of the country to know their values or priorities and why they believe what they do. So of course you're shocked they don't think the exact same way as you. I am here with you, to cry, to yell, to hug.
Why?
pet peeve of mine. I hate when people uncapitalize the first letter of sentences. I asked someone once why they did it, and she told me, because I don't care. But like, you clearly do because you went through the trouble of changing it. I actually don't care, so I let my phone do its autocap thing. Alright, back to it. To wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. Even that language, wax poetic, shows how disconnected from reality she is. Wax poetic literally means overly flowery and long-winded speech. She doesn't even talk like normal people. And maybe she should consider that perhaps the new path forward her fellow extreme leftists are forging sucks. Perhaps people don't like dividing people up by immutable characteristics and treating them differently based on them, seeing as how we spent many decades in this country fighting to expel that exact societal structure. This loss should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. Again, Rachel, you should try talking to one of those many votes. They might open your eyes to some issues that don't exist in your world. For a lot of normal people, it's been a rough 4 years. Lots of people have been victims, or people they know have been victims, of increasingly common crime that goes unavenged. The stock market has been doing great, but a lot of those normal people are stretched so thin financially by the prices of gas and groceries and literally everything that they don't have anything left over to take advantage of it. Meaning that gap between the rich and the poor that you care so much about has been growing even greater. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't want their wives, daughters, sisters, and female friends liable to share a bathroom or sports field with men. But here we get to the end. Here's the kicker. I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. That should have been a colon there, actually, not a period. Miss Ryder. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. So, Ethel Kane is apparently a Gen Z musical artist, using both of those words very loosely, who is a part of Rachel Zegler's echo chamber, along with Chapel Roan. Ah, yes. Someone I'm sure all fathers would love their, well, sons to emulate, I'm sure. But yes, Rachel Zegler told over 76 million Americans she hopes they never know peace. Those are Americans who presumably might go see her movie, who might take their children to go see her movie. I would say those are Americans who are her neighbors and at her gym and at her grocery stores, but again, they're not. She doesn't associate with those 76 million Americans. They're beneath her. All celebrities need to hear this. You're not normal. You're extremely blessed. In some cases, extremely talented, other cases not. You're extremely, dare I say, privileged? And let me make this clear. Normal Americans, we don't hate you for that. We don't hate you for living in mansions in Beverly Hills and hanging out on private yachts doing whatever weird things y'all do for fun. We hate when you try to talk down to us. We hate when you lament about supposed rampant sexual exploitation of women after decades of turning a blind eye to Harvey Weinstein. We hate when you whine about gender pay gaps while making millions of dollars. We hate when you lecture us about climate change after getting off your private jet on the way to the Oscars. Y'all exist in your own little world, and that's fine. Just stay there. And don't try to guide us as if you understand how the world works for the rest of us. Now, Rachel Zegler has issued an apology, surely after Disney told her to, and probably wrote it for her. And I would be remiss if I didn't break that down real quick, because it's one of the worst apologies I've ever heard. Hi, everyone. I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. See, now she's capitalizing words like a literate person. Also, it took you a whole week. But, Rachel, the issue isn't just that you let your emotions get the best of you. It's that those were your emotions at all. The fact that your instincts are to wish that over half the country would not know peace, much less to tell that to your 2 million Instagram followers, that wouldn't even cross my mind, or most anyone I know. Because the people who voted differently from me sit next to me in the office. They're going to be in my wedding. They're in my family. They're good people. You don't think that at all. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding. And I'm sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. Let me just finish it out and I'll rip it apart altogether. This week has been emotional for so many of us, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their opinion, even when it differs from my own. I am committed to contributing positively toward a better tomorrow. Liar! Let's review why everyone was rightly angry with Rachel Zegler. She wished that 76 million Americans would never know peace. Is that even remotely addressed in this apology? Of course not. She's sorry that she contributed to the negative discourse, but not sorry about what she said. This is like if someone spent years claiming that someone they dislike was worse than, I don't know, Hitler. And then when someone took them seriously and tried to assassinate that person, the original person came out and said, I think we all need to tone down the rhetoric. Completely hypothetical situation, of course. She even kind of doubles down on what she said, saying she believes everyone has the right to their opinion. So at no point does she say her opinion was wrong, or that it was a bad thing to wish turmoil or distress or violence or whatever the opposite of peace is on over half the people you share a country with. No, she's not sorry about what she said at all. Just sorry it wasn't met with the, yes, slay queen, you the resistance that she had hoped. But even still, she seems to believe that she's untouchable by us normies. So I encourage all of you to take a stand in the only way you can. Don't go see the new Snow White when it comes out. In fact, go see the Daily Wire's version. It probably won't be great. It'll look fairly cheap, I'm guessing. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But to paraphrase who is probably Rachel Zegler's moral hero, it's not about the movie.
It's about sending a message.